Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Buckeye Weekly Podcast. I'm Tony Gerdeman here, as always, with Tom Orr. Tom, how's it going?
Tony, we're here at the Schottenstein Center to talk a little bit of Ohio State football. Why? I don't know. Football facilities closed today? I don't know.
No, we're here. We've done some basketball talking. Now, I just want to, while we're here, let's talk some football. But first, also, let's talk BuckeyeInsiders.com. Website is now live. You can go there, right there. You can check that out, BuckeyeInsiders.com. Sign up, become a member. It is the absolute best way to support what we do. We'd love to see you there. Already got a bunch of people there. The community has been thriving, and it's almost 24 hours old as of the recording of this. And so it's been great fun getting back in touch with everybody. And if you're looking for a place to talk Ohio State sports and everything else, relatively, like it's a good, calm community. Check us out there. We'd love to see you there. So that's a little bit of the sale job for you. But let's talk about some concerns that I have about the Ohio State running backs. You call me a coward for having these concerns. These are my concerns. These are concerns I'd have if these were my running backs. Like if I was the coach of the Ohio State running backs per se, if I was the head coach, my first concern here, Tom, is that there's a lot of guys in this room. There's some good depth. There's some talent. They've all been injured. They've all dealt with injuries. We didn't see Isaiah West or Bo Jackson this spring. They missed most of their senior years. So Isaiah West arrived at Ohio State with an injury. Legend Bay missed the last couple of weeks of practice. Jacoby Jackson has been injured for much of his career. And Turbo Rogers has been in and out of the lineup, did not play last year. Favour Akih Favour Akih was injured in the season opener of his senior year. And so this is something where, you like all of the individual parts, but you look at them and you're like, there's some concern there, Tom.
I think on a case-by-case basis, that's absolutely legitimate. It is perfectly reasonable to look at that and go, boy, I don't know if point finger at any individual guy if he's going to make it through the season because he's been banged up at points in the past, which that feels like that's kind of part and parcel of being a running back at this level. But it is also, you can point to specific stuff with each of those guys. I will remind you, we did do a show not that long ago about how this might be the deepest Ohio State running back room. So here's the thing. On an individual case-by-case basis, absolutely. A legitimate concern, 100% legitimate. You would need like a biblical plague of injuries in the running back room, which has happened. Like I can remember some of the early 2000s Iowa teams where it was just like they're on their sixth running back somehow. And it's like, this is like faster than Spinal Tap went through drummers somehow. But you would have to have that kind of a thing to get to burn through all of these guys. Are you going to have injuries? Of course you're going to have injuries. Like you go through a lot. I mean, TreVeyon Henderson, when TreVeyon Henderson was at Ohio State, had seasons where he missed half the year. I mean, it's rare that you have a guy who's just fully healthy and you're starting running back all season. But the fact that you've got as many guys as you have will probably help keep guys healthy, limit some of that wear and tear. But also, it's a little bit of insurance where if this guy goes down, or even if these two guys go down, you do have other options.
Because the seasons where there have been injuries and you've been down at the end of the line running Chip Trayanum, who came to Ohio State to play a linebacker, if I recall, and Xavier Johnson, who has played everywhere. And I think one of the great all-time role players in Ohio State history, but not necessarily the guy that you think on day one is going to be the guy at the end of the season trying to beat Georgia or Michigan or something like that. So if that does happen this year, there are more options, but at that point, if you're down to the bottom, I don't want to say bottom of the barrel, bottom of the depth chart, you're talking like a Turbo Rogers, Favour Akih. Play for Favour Akih is to redshirt this year, although that no longer really exists.
Yeah, that's true.
If everybody's a 5 for 5. So the plans are down the road for him. Could he do it? I mean, Dallan Hayden did it as a true freshman, stepped up in a great way, but then was not necessarily good enough to play much after that.
Right.
So I do agree that there is depth here, but I also, it's not even an opinion. It's just facts on the running back health over time and through their histories. The second concern I have here is, I guess, about the depth, because with so much depth and you got guys that you want to play, We know Carlos Locklyn is going to play Bo Jackson. We know that he loves Isaiah West and is going to try to play Isaiah West as much as he can. They brought Jacoby Jackson over to play. We know Legend Bay is going to play. So a concern here is getting guys into a groove. And remember when it would be J.K. Dobbins and Mike Weber, they would each get a series. And it was like very
2018,
very,
the
like,
bad J.K. Dobbins season.
Right. And it's like, this team can't run. And it wasn't because nobody could really get into a groove. And that's kind of my concern here is just the inability to get into a groove. Now, we've seen TreVeyon Henderson and Quinshon Judkins operate just fine in that. I don't know that was that ever an issue last year? I don't know. They would pull Bo Jackson out after he got them inside like the 5-yard line or 10-yard line, and then they would struggle to move after that.
Well, yeah, and Bo Jackson, 179 carries last year, 6 touchdowns. CJ Donaldson, 96 carries, so about half as many carries, 10 touchdowns, almost twice as many touchdowns. So that was sort of a situational thing where it felt like they were just going to use CJ Donaldson as a goal line back. I don't know that you're going to see that situation this year because I think Bo Jackson is going to be bigger, stronger, a little more, the goal is obviously for him to be able to break that one more tackle or, run through that one more arm tackle or keep his feet to get through to the end zone in those kind of situations. But that's always a little bit of a question. Anytime, the rhythm of the game is one of those things that guys will talk about and fans kind of go, does that really matter? And you keep hearing it from players, so it sure seems like it matters. And you keep hearing it from coaches. The easy answer here is that, well, it was just because Tony Alford didn't rotate them correctly and they didn't use them correctly. And, this is Carlos Locklyn. He has a different probably view on some things than Tony Alford did. I don't know that. I don't know that I would really put that on Tony Alford. That could be just those two guys, Mike Weber and J.K. Dobbins. When J.K. Dobbins was the guy, capital G, capital G, capital T, capital G, like he was in 2017 and 2019, really, for long stretches this season, he was great. He didn't necessarily adapt well. Because I remember talking, I think it was Mike Weber, who during that season said, when you're sitting, then you feel like you've got to do something when you go out there. And you're trying to hit a home run at a time when, like, sometimes you just got to shoot a single through the 5.5 hole. Like, you can't try and hit a home run every single time. But they were sort of pressing and trying to do too much. Some of that may be how they were used in terms of rotation and how that was communicated to them, but some of that may also be the players. So you got different players, you got a different coach. So maybe this is a problem. Maybe this is not as much of a problem, depending on just the people involved.
Yeah, and maybe it was a game plan thing, and they really had just those two guys.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the case anymore. So there's no clean, well, you play a series, because
Right.
you're not going to go an entire quarter without playing Bo Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
So it forces you to be more, you've got to cut it up. You've got to figure these things out. You can't just let the game dictate who plays and kind of just sit back and, I don't need to do any coaching or, I don't need to decide who goes in because you're up next. And it's just like the lineup was set. I give it to the ump.
Yeah, this is not a spring training game where you know that your starting right fielder is going to play the first 4 innings and he's going to go.
Yeah, and it's not a batting order.
Yeah.
So this is something where you change up the order. And so you've got to stay much more on ball. And I think that's one of the things that when you are changing things up, did you give a guy enough of an opportunity? Did you let him get his feet wet and warm? And yet, like, change of pace is always a good thing as well. So it's a balance, as Ryan Day says, that's the art of coaching.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure Carlos Locklyn will say something similar. And also, like, it's everybody should be ready to go on any opportunity. You shouldn't need to get warm, but it is a thing. It may not be I don't know if it's quantifiable or, how you define it, but it's a real thing. And you've seen it. J.K. Dobbins, taking him off the field is not a good thing. And keeping him on the field is a good thing. And you saw him get better and better, like the 2,000-yard season in 2019. So, that was a lot of carries. I think 300 carries. There's some good things that come from more carries, but I think they're all talented enough. They can make their marks and how they do it. But would each of those guys be like, man, I'd sure like 17 carries?
Yeah, well, I think that the nature of a competitor is that you want 17 carries. Like these are all guys who have always been the best player in every team they've ever been on before they got to Ohio State. And so now you get to, maybe not Jacoby Jackson, but because he's played on other high level college teams, but all the other guys, you've always been the best player on your high school team. So you've always been the bell cow running back. So now that's an adjustment. And it's really kind of a matter of communicating to the players, okay, this is why we're splitting carries. I know you want to carry the ball 17 times. He also wants to carry the ball 17 times. So does he. And ultimately, you got to throw the ball to Jeremiah Smith every once in a while. So you can't give 4 guys 17 carries a game. So it's up to Carlos Locklyn to communicate to those guys, hey, look, the 2024 season, TreVeyon Henderson probably wanted to carry the ball 17 times. Quinshon Judkins probably wanted to carry the ball 17 times. I think Judkins may have done that once or twice, maybe during the course of the season. I don't think TreVeyon got to those numbers at all. But what was the end result of that? The end result of that was by the end of the season, TreVeyon Henderson, his legs are still fresh enough that he can go 75 yards in a screen against Texas, and Quinshon Judkins can score three touchdowns against Notre Dame in the first half or early in the second half of that national championship game. There's a real direct benefit to that as a player. If you can communicate that to the guys and get them to buy in, that probably goes a long way.
Yeah. TreVeyon Henderson's season high in carries was 12 that year, and that was against Notre Dame. Quinshon's season high was 17, and that was against Oregon. He had a 15 and a couple of 14s, and those numbers were all topped by Bo Jackson in terms of carries in the game. He had a couple of 20 carry games. I wonder, based on this, maybe I'll do an over-under show. We'll do an over-under show because I don't know. I don't know that you'll see a 20 carry game from anybody this year. I don't know that you should. I think there's enough talent on hand that unless you've got a Trey Sermon type of situation against Northwestern.
Yeah. Well, and that was a real outlier. That was one where we're sitting in that stadium and going, they need to be giving him the ball more. It was that felt like one where the coaching staff was really trying to not do that. And ultimately it was kind of like, well, this guy's running for like 12 yards a carry and we've given him 20 something carries. We should probably just keep giving him the ball. Yeah. And it ended up working out, working with a school record that day. But, the inclination, even in that case, was to not necessarily do that right away. So yeah, I think they're going to do their very best to not get caught up in the moment. If it's a close game, it's late, you got to win the game. But if it's the second quarter and you're playing Illinois and you're up 17-7, I don't think it's like, well, you got to keep riding this hot hand all the way through 4 quarters.
No, and the proof is there that the fresh running backs helped win a national championship. So I think that's maybe worrying about not getting into a groove. You'd rather have fresh running backs than guys that couldn't work up a sweat against Iowa, provided you win.
Yeah.
The last concern here, Tom, is do they have a short yardage specialist? And not just, I don't want to say specialist. Do they have somebody who's effective in short yardage? Because I don't need them. I don't need one person to come out and be, oh, here comes CJ Donaldson. Why? I don't know, because he didn't push a pile. He would fall forward. Sometimes he'd fall forward, but he wasn't always to the line of scrimmage when he did it. Is there an effective short yardage runner here? And we know Isaiah West has added weight. He's up to 225 based on what we've been told. O Jackson's going to be around 220 or so. So he's going to be more of a power back as well. Jacoby Jackson, another big back who has some experience doing these things. One of those 3 guys, do they become the guy that you just know he's coming in? And not that you know he's coming in, he's going to pick it up. Can somebody be as effective, Tom, as J.T. Barrett in short yardage?
Yeah, that is the eternal question. The J.T. Barrett just never, ever missed on that QB power run. And they don't have a guy who, Donaldson came into Ohio State last year heavy. I think he came in at 240 or 245 or something like that and cut some weight when he got there. But, I'm looking at the listed weights right now and they're not all exactly current, but Jacoby Jackson's listed at 217, Isaiah West 210. As you said, we have been told he's already put some weight on there. Bo Jackson 217. There's not a guy who's this is your, traditional fullback, give it to Refrigerator Perry kind of thing and let him go over the goal line.
Nate Roberts.
Nate Roberts is there. I think Nate Roberts is going to probably play more of a traditional tight end role this year than he did last year, but they've got to sort of sort out that fullback position a little bit. I think they've got other guys in that
Yes,
tight
I
end
agree,
room who are probably going to play that role more this year. But I think it's not that you need a dedicated goal line guy. It's just, do you have a guy who can get the ball over that goal line? And he can also be the guy who got you from the opposing 25 into the red zone. Like, you can just keep the same guy in the field. But can Bo Jackson do that? I mean, we know he's put on weight. We know Isaiah West has put on weight, and not like I've been supersizing all of my meals. Like, when we say put on weight, we mean put on muscle. These are guys who should be better in those goal line situations. The other piece of that is the guys in front of them. If the holes are just a little bit bigger, if you got an extra 3 inches between the guard and the tackle, well, that will help you get across that goal line and be a little more successful. And I'm anticipating that they're going to have that. So, the running backs do not operate in a vacuum. I think looking at the roster and looking at some of the development between last year and this year, if they can stay healthy, you're seeing some of the stuff that you would want to see. And if the guys up front are as good as we think they might be, that's going to go a long way to helping as well.
So those are my concerns that I have for this team. Go ahead. Do you see any other concerns out there? If you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and throw your concerns into the comments. If you feel like I'm being ridiculous, please keep that to yourself. If you have any issues with Tom, please put those in the comments as well.
You go to BuckeyeInsiders.com, go on the Insiders board. We can start a Festivus thread if you'd like.
We'll be more than happy to do that. And again, as Tom said, go to BuckeyeInsiders.com, sign up right now, become a member. Absolute best way to support what we do.
Wouldn't be a Buckeye Weekly podcast if we didn't have some extraneous background noise, even right at the end.
Yeah, it's like wrap it up. Okay, I'm getting the wrap up slide from the horn in the background. That will do it. Hit the thumbs up. Thank you all for tuning in, and we will talk to you all later.